What's up, Scorpio? Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Chris. Welcome to your February reading. So I just had a really cool experience with the Scorpio. I was at my favorite crystal shop in LA, Spellbound Sky. If you guys are in the area, check it out. It's like an amazing place. And I'm like cool with the owners there, and I was checking out, and I saw like he had a deck of tarot cards out, and I was like, I was gonna just pull a card out because they sell cards, so I thought it was just like display. And I noticed they were worn. And I was like, hey, are those your cards? And he's like, yeah, well, you want a reading? No, he was like, you want to pull one? I was like, yeah, duh. And then before you know it, we were having like fucking 12 card reading where he's reading my life down, and I just feel so good and so invigorated. And like, I just felt like I had to pay back to you guys. 4 of Cups, central situation. So there's a lot of good, I was gonna say just emotional energy, but there's a lot of good emotional energy this month for you guys. This is a month where you're gonna feel abundance of happiness, of love, right? This month we have Venus going into Pisces at the end, right? Oh, we got Justice. Okay. So I think this has a few things here, right? First, it almost feels like it's Scorpio's time to like, and this feels weird to say, so I'm just gonna try to unpack it. It feels like it's your time to be happy. Like what you guys like this 4 of Cups energy. It's like with Justice, it's almost like it's been earned. It's like karmic. The planets are aligning this month in a sign that is going to bring a lot of pleasure seeking to the world. For all the signs, there's a big emphasis on pleasure and meaningful pleasure, right? Pleasure that brings you more in tune with your fate. Also, I feel like with Justice, like what I was saying, like you guys earned it. Right? Like the balancing act of maybe there's been some struggling going on, and this is almost like karma or the universe like kind of giving you a little hand, saying like, let's ease this emotional burden. This isn't just an emotional burden. The 4 of Cups is often seen as really negative, and I like to think that it can go either way, right? Depending on the context. But it is about an abundance of emotion. So if like things have been heavy for you for a while, like expect it to get a little lighter. Right? I don't think that if you've been, this works in reverse necessarily. Like if you've been happy, expect to like not be, or like it's gonna balance you out to like be fucking bummed out. But I will say though, that, you know, in the sense that maybe if you've been like indulging, like pleasure seeking in an indulgent way, this could be like an indication of, again, that heavy burden kind of being lifted. Saying like, okay, now it's time to like get a little serious and do serious things, right? I feel like for most of you though, the case is going to be like this emotional cloud kind of being lifted. This being transformed into something like enjoyable. And then like all the lessons, all the pain, all that stuff that you've been through is gonna take on meaning, right? You'll see it from a different perspective. Once you're like out of the worst of it, you can take a step back and see like, you know, that made me stronger. That made me more in touch with my family. That pain made me more in touch with myself. And I think that's a good place to start this month, because middle of the month we have an eclipse in Aquarius. And this eclipse is all going to be all about like cleaning house. Spring cleaning, so to speak, right? The Star and 7 of Swords. So this card came up yesterday for Taurus. And what I was telling them was like, most of the time when this comes up, this tends to be interpreted by, like, at least readers I've seen, that like you have this sort of debaucherous, deceitful, whatever energy around you. Lies, manipulation, right? But then for Taurus, I was kind of like, hey, actually, I think this is you being the manipulative one, being like the secretive one, like playing people. For you guys, Scorpio, I think that that kind of applies here, but I don't, I feel like it's almost to yourself. Almost like there's a sense of self-sabotage with this card. You know, like when somebody is so in their emotions that they in some ways become a little self-destructive. Whether that's like overindulging in substances, or, you know, neglecting important things in your life, disconnecting from relationships, like family or whatever, you know? I don't know why I said family. I wasn't thinking just family, but I said it like disconnecting from family. But then we have the star. So right now we have something that looks like this. So I do think the Seven of Swords is kind of, it almost feels like these two energies are a little protective, right? Protecting you from, oh wow, protecting you from like the more vicious parts of yourself. It could also be like, oh, I almost thought like, you know, if you might have even been like in some way like actually harming yourself. That might apply to some people watching this. But whatever it is, it's this, there's a sense of protection here with the star. There's a sense of almost like fateful, divine, like intervention. Very, never an interpretation I've had of this card before. But I'm really feeling that. I'm really feeling like you might find this month that something in some fateful way happens. You guys are very in tune with like energy and with the universe. You can be very psychic. You can be very sensitive. You're very good at manifesting. So it's almost as if like your calls have been heard, and there's like some act that comes into your life to help you like actually rid yourself of this burden and protect you. Like that reading today felt very fateful. You know, every time I see that Scorpio, I swear to God, we don't always. This is like the first time he's actually no, the second time he's like pulled cards for me. But usually, just whatever he says, whenever we have a little talk about what's going on in life, like it's exactly what I need to hear at that time. This card came up in that reading, Six of Swords. So do we need an indication of like being moved forward? Right? Of sort of protection from this like craziness? From this like crazy watery, like out of control energy? Has your energy been a little out of control? Have you felt a little wild, a little like emotionally even like spiraling at times? Like out of control emotions is what I feel like. Is like what you guys are kind of coming out of a little bit. And last month we talked about how slowly but surely y'all were healing. So this could actually be an indication that like those first steps are being taken out of the pain, out of the grief. Also, if you have any legal issues you're working out, first of all, be careful. This is two things. One, be careful with the law. Well, it means both things at the same time. Because there's a sense of any like, you know, behind the scenes tomfoolery that's been going on is going to find justice. So that's why I said to be careful, right? Because if you're fucking around, like, make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's, Scorpio, right? But also, if other people have been messing with you, this is a sign, I think, that they're going to get their just desserts. Right? That, again, like, it feels almost fateful that, like, karma is stepping in. The universe is stepping in to correct the situation. Even if all that is like, say that person doesn't get punished, but you get into a place where you are now more protected, where you now have reason to feel more calmness. You have reason to feel less of this intensity, to feel safe, to feel even like, if they're not hurt, like you being brought to a level where like that shit doesn't even affect you anymore. You know what I mean? That's good. This is like, I don't know if you guys believe in guardian angels or, you know, just protective of whatever God it is that you believe in. But there's big signs here of, you know, things stepping in. Okay, so we have the Prince of Cups, Ace of Swords, and the Five of Wands. This is that passionate energy I was talking about that comes into the universe later in the month, right? The Prince of Cups, feeling sexy, feeling fun, right? Scorpio, just be careful you don't get pregnant this month. Unless you want to. Then, like, the planets are, you know, bringing you what you want. But if you're not, like, be careful. Don't knock somebody up, Scorpio. But the point is that we're talking about, oh, I feel like real sensual pleasure. You know, like, let's just say, like, sexy times, right? But a reinvigorated spirit. A spirit, like, that's full of gusto. That's ready to, like, charge back into the world. Charge back into, like, what you were doing. Or what, like, you want to do. What your aspirations are, right? Ace of Swords is, like, making it happen. This is perfect. We have Jupiter still in your sign. And it's going to be in your sign for a few months now. Almost a year, but a few months. And what Jupiter in your sign is bringing to you is a real expansiveness to your sense of self. New ideas about who you are. And priming yourself to, like, really make plans and set goals for the things that you really want in life. The things that really bring you pleasure. This is a great month, Scorpio, for goal setting. For doing creative visualization, for working to manifest. to put your mind in the state of like attracting the things you want. You know, again, the Scorpio I was talking to earlier, he was talking about like being scared in relationships, and you know how you're afraid of getting your heart broken. Like, so what? Like, people get their heart broken, you deal with it, you move on. It's not worth living your life like being in fear of that. And then also, if you're afraid of it, and this is my point here, like, you're gonna draw that to you. What you focus your attention on, you know, it's like when someone's riding a motorcycle, right? Wherever you look, you start to move. Wherever your attention goes to, like, you start to drift in that direction. And this is about getting into that headspace, right? Getting into the perspective of just like real power, real freshness, real sense of I can have new things and I can have good things. I can have a good relationship. I can have more money. Not, oh my God, I'm so broke, sitting in like your shit, like not seeing like the gifts and the resources you have available to you. That's not where I'll say the Four of Cups is, like, you know, not recognizing all the abundance you have. And then there's a turn. There's a turning point where your attitude starts to shift. And now you're not putting up with anyone else's drama, but particularly Scorpio, you're not putting up with yourself, like beating up on yourself. You need to stop telling yourself like why you're bad or why things aren't working out well for you, right? This reminds me of the other day the moon was in Scorpio, and I didn't realize it at the time, and I was like having some crazy emotions. Like one little thing went wrong, and like in a day full of like great stuff, and I just went woo, spiral down into a dark place. That's moon and Scorpio energy, right? But what I did, and this is the point here, is that I've learned that it's going to pass, and I've also learned the responsibility of having to get myself out of it. So what did I do? I literally went and posted all of the things that were good about that day. And by the end of that, I felt so much better. Counting your blessings is not just some like new age mumbo jumbo. It's almost like this sword empowers like this energy and like the conquering of this energy. Right? It's not new age mumbo jumbo. It's a real thing that we have to do, again, law of attraction, to recognize what we have going for us. Because when we know what we have going for us, we're able to use those resources, use those tools to like accomplish things. So that the next time something tries to like assault our self-esteem, we can say, no, I know that I have more going on for me, and I don't need to sink into this place of like insecurity and self-deprecation and, you know, self-abuse. Have you really been just like beating yourself up like crazy, Scorpio? Have you been like extra super hard on yourself? Okay, so those three cards came out. I'm gonna just pull another one or two for outcome, and we'll go ahead and pull the oracle cards. So I do have private readings this month. They're 30% off. You can check that out in the description below. If you do get one, please be patient. I've had like a big backlog of readings last month. They just like sold like crazy, and I'm still catching up on them. But so check those out on my Etsy page. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. So let's pull a couple outcome cards, because Scorpio, I really think that the overall sense here is like, my mom always says like in divine timing. And when like you don't want to hear that, when you want to have just like complete control, you're like, whatever. Divine timing, kiss my ass. 10 of Wands. But like when it happens, right? When you feel like fate stepping in and things working out in a way that's completely unexpected, it's like, holy shit. Like, you usually are with your mom, right? Like, oh, mom, you're right. Like, always. Okay, the Tower. I found that as I get older, the more I, like, just listen to my mom. Because I'm like, you know what? She's usually right about these things. I should just take her word for it, even if I completely disagree. How many times has she proven me wrong? And then the Queen of Pentacles. Alright, so, I mean, with the Ten of Wands, with the Tower, it's like you're dropping those burdens. You're leaving the baggage, like, on the ground. You ain't having it. What I said about the eclipse in Aquarius is like a time of cleaning out. This is a time where I just feel Scorpio's like dumping it. Dumping these wands on the ground and saying like, I don't want it anymore. I am too enlightened. I've like seen the light. And I know that I don't have to struggle. I know I don't have to beat myself up. I know I don't have to be miserable. There's a real thing where people get addicted to these negative feelings, get addicted to misery, get addicted to feeling like a victim. In some way, it fulfills a need. And if you feel this way, Scorpio, if you recognize in yourself, because the Tower is all about like a higher knowing, that kind of breaks down the foundations of false foundations. So if you know that these negative habits that you have are rooted in something, you can unpack it and you can get to the bottom of it. And then you can say, I realize that I kind of like being the victim because it makes me feel powerless and I don't like to be responsible for things. Right? Like the Ten of Wands. Look at the Ten of Wands in the Tower. That's exactly the example here, right? Being powerless keeps me from having to take on responsibility. Feeling low means that I don't have to actually try. Thinking badly about myself means that I don't really have to prove that I actually have anything worthwhile. Because I suck, right? So why do I have to try? What's the point? I'm going to stay miserable. I like being miserable because then I don't have to do the work that so many people have to do to inspire themselves, to keep themselves up, to keep themselves motivated. Right? Like the self-talk I was talking about. Like if you have to fucking listen, I've been listening. I'm always embarrassed to admit this, but like lately I've been listening to these Oprah Soul Sunday interviews. Because I want to give myself the tools so that when I'm stuck in this kind of place, I know how to pull myself out. If I have to listen to some fucking inspirational church lady stuff, like, I'll listen to it. I'll take from it what I can. Right? Queen of Pentacles isn't emotionless. And she's not in control in her emotions in the way that like the Queen of Cups is, where the Queen of Cups actually like can use it constructively and like to give her information and to like, you know, get her in touch with her intuition, etc., you know, be creative. The Queen of Pentacles like uses the emotions to grow, right? It's like the water that waters the earth, that feeds the earth and makes like all this abundance grow. So Scorpio, I think that one, there's going to be like some good money making this month, right, with the Queen of Pentacles. But this is like if you're an artist, for instance, like using your shitty feelings to make art. Using whatever emotions are bogging you down. Like if you're feeling insecurity, this sounds like pedantic and stupid, but like, you know, if you don't feel good about your body, Queen of Pentacles, what does she do? Does she wallow in it? No. She goes to work out, right? That's what I mean by channeling, using that stuff, using that emotional energy. If you're angry or you feel like you've been wronged, like use that to put yourself in a different position, right? Do you get what I'm saying here? It's all about the emotions not drowning you, but watering you. Yeah? Like cleansing you. Hydrating you, right? It's like a fuel. It's like a fuel for creation. All this water, right? Who do you think it is? Do you know we were talking about you? I think she was listening. Queen of Cups. What a perfect like way to end this reading, talking about the difference between the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles, and how it's almost like now you're in control by like sort of grounding your emotions. By using them constructively, you've kind of learned how to make them flow properly, how to like turn off the nozzle when you have to, and also to open the nozzle, to get relief, to get some release, to have catharsis. Right? After this emotional ass like Scorpio moon energy this week, I'm gonna show you the cards. I'm like ready to have a fun weekend. I've been busy, I've been working a lot. Right? So Scorpio, make sure you make time for yourself to have fun. Make sure you make time for yourself to relax. These cards just kind of fell out today, so we're just looking at them all this way. This stuff, though, no time for it. There's plenty of drama in the world, Scorpio. You don't need to create it yourself. You don't need to do it to yourself. You have this freshness coming. You have this protection and this guidance and this divine alignment with your purpose. But purpose, again, through pleasure, and like using pleasure as a way of, in a meaningful way. Again, catharsis, like if you want to talk sex, right? Literally releases serotonin. Alright, so I'm going to pull a couple of nature nurture oracle cards to wrap up this reading. But, you know, Scorpio, it feels like a long period of pain is coming to an end, like we talked about last month, right? But this month it's almost like about not even the assimilation of the lessons, but the part after that, where you pick yourself back up and you go back out into the world and you start like being yourself again. Where you start feeling good again. Where you start like thinking about like making more money. Right? Again, we have Jupiter and Scorpio for the next 9 months. There's big opportunities here, guys, for creating. That's why I said like make your plans. Big opportunity for creating. These cards aren't coming out. Right? Big opportunity for just the right kind of abundance. When those emotions are, they're still going to be there and there's still the sensitivity and you're still balanced. I'm just going to pull. They're still there, but they're more balanced. Okay. Like, I don't even know if I have to like interpret this that hard for you. Letting things go. Forgiving yourself. Forgiving the people who've hurt you. Also, like I said, counting your blessings, like acknowledging the people who are there for you. While this is also the burdens from the past, I want to say this is also about remembering. Remember who you are, Scorpio. You know, like in The Lion King, like remember your strengths. Remember your accomplishments. Don't take that for granted. See that as like a sign of like you and what you've been capable of doing and what you've been capable of accomplishing or what you are capable of doing, right? Because you've seen yourself do it before. You've seen yourself pick yourself up out of this shit. Okay? So, Scorpio, I really think this month is about doing the emotional work. And not like in a therapy way, in a way where now you really have to take responsibility for your happiness. You have to take responsibility for your creativity. You have to do what's necessary to get yourself in the right place, to set the mood, right? A lot of Scorpios are very witchy people, right? So, you know, lighting candles and incense puts you in a mood. Getting in a bubble bath with a glass of wine, like automatically, just like that image in your head, shifts your energy. Learn to shift your energy in a way that's productive and that brings you abundance and that brings you prosperity. And that brings you the kind of emotions where, like, you know, they say artists can use. They always say, like, use your pain. And sometimes that's hard, but, like, use your pain to grow. Lots of beautiful things. All right, Scorpio? And again, like, last but not least, like, just keep an eye out for signs. Don't take anything, like, as an accident. Be open to what the universe is telling you. Pay attention to those, like, aha moments. And you're going to do great. I love you guys. You're so fun. You're such good healers. For people who can get into this, like, heavy emotional state, you guys are great at taking care of people. Because you can go deep. You can see things in people that they can't even see in themselves. But now you have to do that to yourself. Don't be one of those, like, you know, therapists who's broken herself, right? Like, if you're gonna help people, you better do what you gotta do to get your knowledge up, to get your skill set up, to get your resources up, and know how to, like, take care of yourself, right? All right, Scorpio, you the bomb.com. I love you guys. See you in March. Adios. Bye bye.